We are at the Sand Hill Wildlife Area, north of Necedah, and we're going on a 14-mile vehicle tour, the Sand Hill Trumpeter Trail. All right. Here's an interesting sign about when, time of year, time of day, to look for different animals. Here's a view of the prairie here. Got some tall grasses, some big blue stem, some cone flowers. A lot of space right here. Looks like some maybe wild indigo out there. So there's 14 miles here. Here's a sign that explains prairies. And prairies are kind of an endangered habitat. So it's important to protect prairies now. Here we have a very low area, a pond. Lots of lily pads. This whole area was part of Glacial Lake, Wisconsin at one point. And after Glacial Lake, Wisconsin had breached and drained, farmers tried to farm this land, but it was too wet and it didn't work. And then the land was bought up by one man, 9,000 acres. And he raised deer. Put up a fence and raised deer and would sell them to reintroduce them down south different areas. What amazing expanse of land here, marshland, wetland. It said there are many different kinds of turtles, snakes, mammals, fishers, all kinds of animals here. What a great natural area. Different kinds of frogs, lizards, all kinds of things here. Lots of variety of birds. Shortly after the open marsh area, we come to this dense, dark forest here. What a great place. Here's another interesting sign that talks about the bison and the butterflies and how they created an oak barrens here, which is an endangered environment. And the largest population of the Karner butterfly is in this area, because of the wild lupine and how it's managed here. This area is for the bison. Hopefully as we go along we'll see some, but you never know. We're in a tower overlooking the Oak Barrens. We were hoping to see the bison. There's a fenced-in area here for their pasture. It's a huge area. But right now, I don't see any bison. They could be hiding in the woods, under a tree, chilling out. Just focusing on the sandy area because the whole area is quite sandy. After all, it was at the bottom of Glacial Lake, Wisconsin at one point. This is by the tower, Native American use of the bison. All the different things they could do with the fur, the horns, antlers, horns I guess, meat, bones, skull, fur, yeah. After the woods, and after the prairie where the bison were, that we didn't get to see, we have another flowage here. Huge expanse of land, wetland. All kinds of water birds are possible here. Different kinds of ducks, geese, swans, and then muskrats that aren't birds. What a big open space. There's a small open area with cattails all around. Lots of weeds in the water. We did just see a couple of ducks here, some young ones and one mom. But they went into the cattails pretty quickly. This is another flowage here. There's a lot of flowages. A lot of wetland. Wow. Along by these flowages are these little ditches too with water. Little canals maybe. There must be hundreds of different kinds of life in these little waterways. Fish and bugs and larvae. We were traveling along in the woods and prairies and then came across this channel. It does not seem to be flowing. A lot of crud on the surface here. I don't see any movement. Just a long, straight channel. Here's a story about Wallace Grange and his raising of deer to sell to other states to boost the white-tailed deer population. And here's a picture of a deer trap. They would put bait on one side and then when the deer would go in there, the doors would shut. It bumps a trigger and the doors would shut. Interesting. We're back into a wooded area with lots of ferns in the understory and prairie behind it. The thing I notice about this is there's not a lot of invasives right here. There's not the honeysuckle, nor the buckthorn, nor garlic mustard. Just native understory ferns and trees. Nice, healthy kind of forest. As you come into the wildlife area here, and as you leave, you're greeted by these beautiful plants. Prairie blazing star. What a beautiful little row of these. I'm here with Brad Cruz from Cruz Farms. We're going to learn some things about bees today. So Brad, what are you doing right now?
Getting my smoker lit. It's a little bit of a trick. Got to get enough heat built in it to keep it going, and then pack it full of fuel.
And what's the reason for the smoker?
It calms the bees, keeps them. I think the theory is that in a wildfire, the bees load up their honey and try and get away from it. Basically swarm to a new location. Well, the smoke calms them down, or gets them off you anyway.
Less likely to get stung.
Yeah.
So we've got some bee suits we're going to be putting on. The beehives are out here. Do you ever have to be concerned about the bees swarming and leaving?
Yeah, when we go through the hives, we make sure they have room to expand, and we look for the supersedure cells to see if they're making a new queen. We try and go through the hives every other week and do an inspection to make sure that they've got a laying queen and that they appear to be doing well.
So a new queen is not a good sign, huh?
Well, a new queen is a good thing, but you don't want the bees to swarm and leave, because then you lose half your bees. We actually do have a few vacant hives, not on this location, but at other locations, to try and catch bees that swarm. But there's nothing that guarantees we'll get them.
So Brad, you didn't grow up raising bees. How did you learn about bees?
I've got a few people I can ask questions on them, but the biggest thing is YouTube and a few groups on Facebook. But when I drive milk truck in my off-farm job, I can turn YouTube videos on and just listen while I drive, and while I'm at a plant I can actually get to watch the videos. But there's a few people on YouTube, Vinyl Farm and the Honeystead. There's a few other, Cayman Reynolds. There's a few guys I follow, but you go through all the scenarios with them, from getting started to dealing with queen issues to honey flow and wax processing. I mean, they got everything on YouTube anymore.
Yeah. All right. All right, here's Brad in his bee suit, covered up. I'm wearing the upper part at least, but I'm also got long pants on.
I forgot a hive. The bottom two boxes are the brood chambers, they call them. They're for reproduction, and any honey that's down there belongs to the bees. The top one is the super, that's where we get our honey from. So, crack the lid off. And so this super we just added a little while ago. They haven't drawn any wax yet in it, it appears. So there's really nothing going on in the top box on this one. We're probably in a stage during the year where there's not a lot of nectar flow from the flowers, which is called a dearth. So it's not the end of the world. Might need an actual hive tool.
When do they make wax and when do they make the honey?
Oh, it's a life stage, I guess. There's a certain, when a bee is first born, or hatched, I guess, it's a nurse bee. It takes care of the larvae and eggs. Then it moves on, I believe, to wax building, and then it becomes a forager. A bee's life is actually pretty short. It's only like 39 days, I believe, in the summer.
Oh, wow.
So, I can't pull that one first. I got the comb built a little funny on that one. I can't pick that one first, I guess.
So what are you looking for now?
Population is the first thing you look for. Again, another frame they haven't done a lot on. The next thing is looking for eggs. So like I first looked at this, they're not locked up for honey space. They've got room to expand yet. The next thing is population. People measure it in frames. So you look down in and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 frames worth of bees. So then you pull frames out and you're looking for reproduction is my first thing.
For eggs, huh?
Yep, this one has eggs. So that right there tells me we have a queen. And really that's about as far as you need to go as far as finding the queen. Like if you have eggs, you're good. You don't need to find the queen every time you go into a hive. So probably a decent frame to show you, I guess, since they're not real agitated. I don't know if you can see down in the cells, there's like a little grain of rice in them.
Oh, yeah.
That's an egg. It's in that stage for about 3 days, and then it turns into a larva. And then once the larva gets bigger, they cap it up, and that's called capped brood. And then they will hatch, and we can probably find one that's hatching if I look hard enough. Maybe not on this frame, but
Now the bees you've got are pretty much the standard bees raised by bee people?
yeah, I mean there's some different breeds, Carnolians, Italians, Buckfast, Minnesota Hygienic, but some people will tell you that they're all crossbred at this point in the world, but
You haven't had any trouble with those ones that are invasive, huh?
no, not yet. In Wisconsin here, the biggest thing we have is Varroa mites. It's a little brown speck. It's a parasite. And if you don't treat for mites, your bees probably won't live through winter. So these bigger cells on the bottom here, them are drones. Them are boys. All the bees in the hives are females except for the drones. See if I can find any here. They're bigger, and their only purpose in life is to find a queen and mate. They don't actually do anything for the hive itself.
So how many drones can you have? Seems like you only need 1 or 2.
I think it takes... we're getting into unfamiliar territory, I guess. I think it takes like 30 drones, or you want like 35 drones per queen, I think I heard the other day.
Oh. So the females are all the workers?
Yep. Okay, a drone.
They look different, the
Yes,
drones?
They've got they're bigger. They've got a square fuzzy butt. But at this point in the year, they're probably kicked out and not in the hive.
Who kicks them out? All the females?
Yeah, the females will kick them out if there's not enough room for them, or if I don't know. I guess it's over my head too. Just they get kicked out. Oh, there's a drone. So this guy right here is a drone,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they don't have stingers, so I can pick him right up, no problem.
Only the females have stingers.
Yep.
Oh.
The queen does have a stinger too, but okay. So that's a drone. He's
Right.
a lot bigger. He's got a square butt that's got fuzz on it.
Oh,
So,
great.
but okay. So this one here is starting to hatch. Let me grab my knife. So you can see he's got it eating away a little bit. I don't know if I can get my knife under there and
Oh, yeah.
help him out, but
So how long from the time they lay the eggs, or she lays the eggs, until they hatch?
oh, it's 20 some days. I can't remember.
Oh,
There he is.
there. That's a female?
Yep. And a queen takes 20 days to hatch from the time the egg is laid. They make a queen using royal jelly. Here's another one hatching. bud.
Brad's looking for a queen here.
Well,
oh, go
I'm going
ahead.
to show you. So the eggs are tiny little grain of rice, and then they hatch and they become like a little worm, and then they become more of a little grub. And then after that, they get capped for to be what's brood. Capped brood. And then the stuff around the edge is honey. You notice that some of it's light and some of it's dark. The dark stuff is just that the honey is touching the wax. The white stuff is that there's a little air gap in there.
So how much longer before you get a lot of honey from each of the frames or each of the hives?
Right now we're probably in a slow point because there's not a lot of wildflowers except for some clovers and thistles. Goldenrod is about to start blooming, and that'll really put off a lot of honey. But goldenrod is known for when it's drying, when it's becoming honey, it smells nasty, like it smells like gym socks, they say. But once it's actually honey, it doesn't stink.
So it makes a difference what flowers are in bloom on the taste of the honey?
Yep, every flower has slightly different taste to it, I guess you'd say. And there's just so many different flowers, it's hard to say exactly what the deal, what would be blooming at any certain time.
Sure.
But, so like, that's a really good brood pattern. Takes up about more than half the frame. They got a little bit of honey on them, but I wouldn't even say that's really good. I guess there's some holes in there that could have been hit by the queen, but she's doing good. That's the biggest thing that we look for when we're going through them, is that there's a queen and she's doing well, and there's no shortage of reproduction here.
So does each frame have a queen, or is one queen for the whole?
One queen per hive.
One queen for the whole hive.
She lays there's a number. It's a substantial number. I think it's over 1,000 eggs per day.
Oh my gosh.
I almost want to say it's 3,000, but I'm rusty on my numbers. I don't even know how many eggs are laid when I'm looking at bees.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have any reason to look for the queen on this frame because it's capped brood and honey. There's no eggs and larvae right here, so there's no reason for the queen to be right here. So if we go back a few frames to where I was seeing eggs, that's where we're more likely to find her. I'm not gonna put a ton of investment into finding her because I really don't need to find her other than to just show her to you.
Sure.
There's plenty of eggs, plenty of larvae. I don't need to find the queen. I could close this up right now and walk away and be happy.
Well, that sounds like a good idea then. Wow, that one's really got a lot of bees on it.
Yeah.
So is there a market for the beeswax, or is it mostly the honey?
There is. The wax is worth, I think it's like $9 a pound, or maybe it's closer to 20. But we've made some candles, and the beeswax just smells amazing. It's an amazing, I should have you smell somewhere here, but I could put beeswax in my house and just bask in its scent, because it really does smell amazing. Okay, so this one is all honey, and there's a couple three drones, well, 4, 5. There's a lot of drones there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they put the honey towards the outside of the boxes, and the brood in the middle, because they want the heat for the brood like an incubator.
Oh.
But odds are the queen's down the bottom, and I really don't have a reason to go down in there on this hive, so I'm not gonna find you the queen on this one.
All right.
Because I really don't need to.
So do you have to be careful as it gets later in the fall about temperature?
Not so much, I guess. Just once you get into winter, they either need to be wrapped up, or a lot of guys send them to California for almond pollination, because almonds are a crop that rely on pollination for yield. So they actually pay money to for people to bring their bees out there. These are the
All right,
honey
here we're at
supers.
a different hive here.
So we put in the frames. They're coated with wax to encourage the bees to draw them out. So the bees start drawing wax. That's about half drawn, and they'll draw as they need room for nectar. These open ones are nectar, which is honey in the making, and the white ones in the middle are capped honey that's ready to be harvested. But we have to wait for the whole frame, or at least 90% of the frame, to be capped for the honey to be good and not ferment. So.
And then you scrape it, or how do you get it?
You cut the white cappings off, and then put it in a spinner, and it spins it out. If you don't have a spinner, you can scrape it and press the honey out, or you could melt it down. Cooking it actually does hurt the natural enzymes in the honey. There's some antibacterial enzymes and some other beneficial things that are good for you. So you prefer not to cook the honey.
We're checking one more super here. These are the ones that will eventually be harvested.
No honey in this yard today.
No
These
honey.
were all new hives this spring, and it's a lot of work for them to just get their population established and get all the wax drawn out. So it's not your first year of beekeeping. You probably won't get honey. It's possible you will, but the bees have a lot of work to just get themselves established for winter. So no honey today yet. Hopefully goldenrod will produce us a bunch.
All right. Well, thank you for showing us this. And good luck with it.
Come on, bud.
Now, what about the stinging ones? Tell us about those.
So a lot of the angry bees, the ones that would sting me if I was here working on them, are the foragers. They're out during the day. It's probably a third to a half of the population is out working flowers, getting nectar and pollen to bring back. That's one thing I need to show you yet is pollen. So during the day right now, especially an overcast day, the bees are really calm. I really don't need a suit. I really don't need a smoker because they don't care I'm here. If you watch the bees, you could see them coming in and flying. Let me find you some pollen in one.
All right, Brad's looking for pollen now.
So this yellow and red and orange, that's all pollen. And when the bees bring it in, they'll put the pollen in the hole, mix some honey in it, and then at that point it's called bee bread. That's the bee's protein source. The honey is the energy source. You need pollen, you need honey in order for the bees to thrive. There's an awful lot of different colors of pollen. I mean, every flower's got something different. This one's almost white. That one's a dark red. You've got yellow. I'm betting if you had a field of lavender, you'd probably have purple.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, this has been great. Thank you, Brad. Brad Cruz from Cruz Farms. Brad is trying to find a queen yet.
Lots of pollen. Here's a bee with pollen on its legs here, if you wanted to see that.
Where is he? Oh, yeah. He's saying this hive is a little noisier, and when they're a little noisier, they're a little more agitated or easily agitated.
The noise can be a sign that they don't have a queen, which this hive, since it's only one box deep, we've been having some issues with it, trying to address. And it's possible that they still don't have a queen, which I'm not seeing eggs here yet. So I'm going to bet this one's queenless. Push that eye to it. Okay, here's a queen cell. Let me show you this.
A queen cell.
They're trying to make their own queen. Or a new queen. Okay, this one we had put a queen cell in the last time we went through them, and it is now hatched. The queen cell looks like a giant peanut sticking out the side, you'd almost say. But it's hatched, so she is potentially in here, or she could be out on a mating flight.
Oh.
She'll go on a mating flight after being hatched, and it could be a full week before she comes back. But
So the drones from here will find her? Or will she find another drone?
She'll fly around and find some drones. So there's one here that's got some royal jelly on it. So I wonder if they're not trying to make another queen, but... Oh, there's eggs. Oh yeah, we've got eggs. There's a queen somewhere in here. As long as it's not a laying worker, that's a whole nother headache. But,